Right now, I'm investigating your kitchen, and a lot of things I'm gonna show you in this video blew my mind. For example, this much ketchup has more sugar than this donut. About 200 years ago, it took the average American 17 days to eat the same amount of sugar that we now eat every 7 hours. That's the same as 1 can of soda, no, 2 cans. No, 3 cans? 3.5 cans of soda a day? The modern American diet would make a pilgrim explode. And you might be thinking, there's no way that is true about me. No way I'm eating 12 cookies a day worth of sugar. What am I, a cookie monster? But consider this, Subway's bread has so much sugar in it that in Ireland, it's legally classified as cake. So do many low-fat yogurt brands. Muffins, to sport drinks, to breakfast cereal, all have more sugar than many realize. So the amount of sugar hidden in our foods might have something to do with the fact that Americans are the largest consumer of sugar in the world. It's like not even close. Compared to the rest of us, Cookie Monster's on a diet. We all owe him an apology. I mean, did you even think to ask him his real name? It's Sid, by the way. Sugar is in everything we eat, even though we kind of understand that it's bad for us. I mean, excess sugar is what causes your body to release insulin, which converts energy to fat, which causes obesity and heart issues and diabetes, which are among the top causes of death globally. In America, sugary drinks directly contribute to about 25,000 deaths a year. That's 3 times the number of deaths by murder. But this video isn't about how sugar is bad for you. There's plenty of those. It's about how, despite all the bad press, Americans' annual consumption of sugar is shockingly still going up, as it is in the rest of the world. This video is about how sugar has quietly become one of the most lethal substances on earth, arguably killing more than alcohol and drugs and gunpowder. As the old saying goes, don't bring a knife to a gunfight, bring a pumpkin spice latte. I'm not saying sugar is as bad as cigarettes, but at least when we realized cigs were harmful, we did something about it. Why haven't we done anything about the unusual amount of sugar we consume? So today, we're talking about how the sugar industry took over the world. It isn't just because sugar tastes good. It's a result of decades-long strategic manipulation. The sugar industry is like a toxic ex that knows how to get in our heads, but specifically here, our mouths. So just like a toxic ex, I guess, I don't know. Can this trend be reversed? Today, we're getting to the bottom of how people like me and you, and even Sid, come here, Sid, come here. This is Sid. You guys have been pretty mean to Sid. How all of us have been tricked into eating as much sugar as we do. I'm Strays, and this is a show about the news. Sorta. In the 1960s, the sugar industry's primary lobbying group, the Sugar Research Foundation, wanted to make people less aware of how bad sugar is, especially because there was so much negative coverage of it at the time. So they came up with a solution that seemed way too stupid to be practical at all. Basically, pay researchers to shift blame from sugar to fat as the cause of major heart diseases and obesity. Now they just need to find some researchers that were desperate for money and had no integrity whatsoever. Probably some random ass university in the middle of nowhere.
The sugar industry paid 2 Harvard professors.
These investigators at Harvard kind of cherry-picked the data and minimized the problems with sugar and maximized the problems with saturated fat.
Really? Harvard? No way. Okay, so what, they paid him like $1 billion then? Are you serious? $50,000? That's it? Okay, then surely this was like some half-assed research that no one would take seriously, and you're about to cut me off again, all right?
The findings would be published in a top medical journal.
A top medical journal? Okay, surely, that was the end of that researcher's career. Oh, come on. One of the scientists who was paid by the sugar industry went on to become the head of nutrition at the United States Department of Agriculture, helped write federal government dietary guidelines. So basically, the sugar industry paid Harvard professors the equivalent of a Prius each to downplay the health impact of sugar, and it got published in one of the most prestigious medical journals. And no shade to Prius, that's a great car. But I'm just saying, maybe don't compromise on the nation's health for it. This is one of the reasons that there's been such an emphasis on fat-free foods in our diet. That's why you see so much 1% milk and low-fat yogurt and low-fat butter sold right next to cereal with double-digit levels of added sugar. It's not that reducing fat in your diet isn't a good thing, but society's focus on it is thanks to the sugar industry's influence on our research and public opinion. And this example is not even a one-off. 2 years after paying those Harvard researchers, the Sugar Research Foundation pulled funding for an ongoing study on the impact of sugar on gut health, and then they buried the evidence. Why? Because that study found that sugar could be linked to cancer. So this Sugar Research Foundation is a research foundation, the same way the Democratic People's Republic of Korea is a democratic republic. Sure, they can call themselves whatever they want, but it seems that the real goal is to make sure no one notices why some people are getting suspiciously fat. You know, he's kind of cute. Okay, so to be fair to sugar, it doesn't hold the sole blame for obesity, as researcher Stephen Blair at the University of South Carolina will tell you.
Most of the focus in the popular media and in the scientific press is, oh, they're eating too much, blaming fast food, blaming sugary drinks, and so on. And there's really virtually no compelling evidence that that in fact is the cause.
Wow, no compelling evidence whatsoever? I mean, that is shocking. Mostly because it's not true. Yeah, it turns out that Stephen Blair is here talking on behalf of the Global Energy Balance Network, which at the time, and it didn't disclose this, was being funded by Coca-Cola to shift the blame for obesity from diet to exercise. And if it wasn't obvious enough from his outrageous claim, the network's website was publicly registered to Coca-Cola's headquarters. They try to hide their links to Coca-Cola like a kid blaming their imaginary friend for a painting on the wall. And after all this was exposed, Dr. Blair responded to the critic by saying, and I quote, "Does that make us totally corrupt in everything we do?" Are you asking us? I mean, I guess not. You're just a genuine exercise scientist who happened to be caught up in a corporate scheme. It's not like the New York Times had to submit a Freedom of Information Act request to force your employer, the University of South Carolina, to reveal that you had taken $3.5 million in funding from Coca-Cola for research projects since 2008, except that's obviously exactly what happened. Luckily, this Coca-Cola-backed nonprofit shut down just a few months after it was founded because 36 scientists wrote an open letter criticizing it for spreading scientific nonsense. But that doesn't mean Coca-Cola learned a lesson, because soon after, it was revealed that a former executive was corresponding with the CDC to figure out how to convince the World Health Organization to promote the same scientific nonsense.
Public interest research group stumbled onto a series of emails.
The 2015 emails included exchanges between Alex Malaspina, a former senior VP at Coke, and Barbara Bowman, CDC's then director of the Division for Heart Disease and Stroke Prevention.
So efforts to arrange dinners and efforts to arrange meetings and to essentially lobby the CDC in a wide variety of ways. Coca-Cola had actually given more than $1 million to the CDC Foundation, so there was real money involved.
What? Dude, I can't even find time to text some of my friends back. How are you, as a CDC employee, finding time to get dinner with Coca-Cola execs? And of all people, Coca-Cola execs? That's like if the TSA was caught asking for airline safety tips from Al-Qaeda. Now, I should say, researchers funded by corporate interests would tell you that they genuinely believed in their work. They weren't swayed by sponsors and just needed funding from somewhere and should have been more honest about the conflicts of interest. But even if that is true, then still, the role of Coca-Cola and their industry lobbies like the Sugar Research Foundation is to use their money to elevate certain scientific voices so that people don't look at sugary drinks or snacks as who to blame. And it turns out that this happened throughout the 60s and throughout the 70s and as recently as 2015. And we only know about those cases thanks to researchers and journalists uncovering it, sometimes by accident.
We came across the interactions between CDC and Coke entirely by accident. It was a total fluke.
So funding biased research helps the sugar industry shape public opinion, disarms the medical community from rallying against them, and gives them crucial evidence to bring to policymakers. For example, in 2003, when the WHO said that people shouldn't get more than 10% of their daily calories from sugar, which is still a lot, that's like enough for a soda or a candy bar a day, the US sugar industry was absolutely furious. Citing their own research, they said that the WHO was in the wrong. They openly called for the US Congress to end all WHO funding. The sugar industry wrote, and I quote, "Taxpayers' dollars should not be used to support misguided, non-science-based reports," which is so ironic coming from them. But all of this is low stakes compared to other battles the sugar industry has put up. Just ask the Hawaiian Kingdom. And before I explain, let me just start by saying that it's been found sugar affects our brain very similarly to the way cocaine does. And because sugar is so addictive, it's very profitable. So people have gone to some pretty crazy lengths to sell it. It's like Breaking Bad, except it's baking bad. He could have just started a cute little donut shop, but I guess that'd be a weird thing to have to kill people over. The most insane example we could find about the sugar industry is what it did to Hawaii. And I know I'm deeply oversimplifying some very important history here, but basically, when some American businessmen found some very lucrative sugar plantations, but feared that the Queen of the Hawaiian Kingdom would get in their way, they toppled her existing government in 1893, and they did it with the help of the US government, which sent warships. The president of the newly formed Republic of Hawaii was Sanford Dole, and by installing a new pro-American government in Hawaii, this allowed for significantly easier trade between the sugar growers in Hawaii and the sugar buyers in the mainland. And what followed was also decades of erasure of the Hawaiian people's culture, language, and history. And if the name Sanford Dole sounds a little bit familiar, it's because the story I just told you is the story of how one of the world's largest fruits and vegetable companies was founded. Sanford Dole's cousin will go on to found Dole Foods, now making $8 billion in revenue a year. And it's safe to say it's a little different than the story Dole Foods would tell you about how they were founded.
Dole made the name Hawaiian almost synonymous with pineapple. In 1851, Dole built its reputation on its commitment to quality and quality and quality.
What? The only way this makes sense is if quality was the name of the warships the US sent over. It is not good to be in the sugar industry's way, and I'm told I should be fearing for my life a little bit. But today, the sugar industry has a new enemy, and it's this: warning labels. They might seem small, but remember, protecting an entire industry is hard, but refusing to give an inch is much easier. Which is also what I said to your mom. I'm sorry, Morning Brew, I won't make your mom jokes, I'm sorry. As a ton of research has come out over the last few years about how sugar can be bad for you, states like New York, California, Vermont, Maryland, and others have introduced legislation to put warning labels on sugary drinks. And thanks in part to the sugar industry, all of these measures have failed. New research finds that from the 70s onwards, there were countless efforts to influence state and federal governments to stop warning labels in packaging or advertisements of sugary products. Like when New York passed a ban on Big Gulps, the sugar industry sued like crazy. And guess what? The sugar industry won that case. Because of the lack of oversight on advertising, sugar companies were free to advertise products like this to children.
We are tigers!
We are tigers!
Mighty, mighty
tigers! Mighty, mighty tigers!
Eat right with Kellogg's Frosted Flakes as part of a good breakfast.
They're great!
When I was a kid, I saw that ad, and I thought that doing Frosted Flakes was the equivalent of doing steroids. I was getting high on that supply. And it turns out it's literally just cornflakes coated in sugar. Researchers have found that 70% of the ads on Nickelodeon, a major kids TV channel, was for junk food. And 70% is crazy. That means all of our moms are right, except SpongeBob wasn't making us stupid, it was making us fat. And the history of how some of these sugar ads for kids came to be is kind of messed up. For example, my favorite drink as a kid was Kool-Aid. Yeah, all the cool kids were doing it. Thus the name. Kool-Aid. And the Kool-Aid man who would barge through walls getting like, oh yeah. Yeah, he's awesome. He does whatever he wants. That was an inspiration to me as a child. And now I do this on the streets of New York. The way the Kool-Aid man came to be was that Kool-Aid hired a bunch of marketing experts to help them better advertise their sugary beverages to children using bright colors and cartoon characters. One of their original Hawaiian Punch ads was this in the 60s. Are they selling Hawaiian Punch or tabs of acid? Either way, 11-year-old me was down. This later became the Kool-Aid Man and a loyalty swag program that was called the most effective kids marketing vehicle known. And this marketing campaign and the Kool-Aid Man, who you and I know and love, was created by Big Tobacco. Yeah, the Kool-Aid Man was created by the same company that owns Marlboro cigarettes to create customer loyalty at a young age. All they did was use the same techniques that worked to sell cigs to adults, but to kids. And this is the most betrayed I felt since that whole P. Diddy thing. God damn it, Sean. I had told them there's no way you can hide that much oil from the US government. That's like their entire thing. While the sugar industry has a tough grip on the US, its reach actually goes far beyond. For example, Philip James, a former head of the International Obesity Task Force, recalled being told to stop emailing about any sugar dietary restrictions because within 24 hours, the sugar industry would be calling. In Europe, dental health professor Aubrey Sheham pushed for a 10% sugar limit on the Euro diet guidelines. And industry lobbyists warned her that the whole report would be blocked if that guideline stayed. And so, that sugar limit was completely dropped from the Euro diet. And there is one international organization called the International Life Sciences Institute, or ILSI, that is especially powerful and very trusted. It has both WHO and UN accreditation. And when countries need experts, they call up the ILSI. When India needed an expert to lead their commission on whether they should put warning labels on sugar products, they hired an ILSI expert. ILSI's top leaders also allegedly double as senior officials at China's Center for Disease Control and Prevention. That's 3 billion people right there that the ILSI can influence. Except, and I'm already sure you know where I'm going with this, the ILSI was founded by a Coca-Cola executive. It was funded by Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and McDonald's, which is like when the Avengers of fucking your arteries assemble. So to no one's surprise, India's commission eventually decided that warning labels on sugary products was a bad idea. China's obesity policies are reportedly heavily influenced by Coca-Cola, and it got so bad that Mars Inc., which owns so many popular candy brands, started protesting against the ILSI for their misleading studies on health and obesity. And how bad do you have to be for the people that you're trying to make look good think you're going way too far? It's the first time anyone's got in trouble for wingmanning too hard. So sugar companies are willing to do all the things that I've described because anti-sugar policies are extremely effective. For example, when Mexico implemented a simple sales tax on sugar in 2020, it saw sugar drink sales drop by 31%. And today, we're at a crossroads. This month, the US government is implementing new policies that limit the amount of added sugar in many popular children's food like yogurts and cereals. But the history that we've explored in this video shows us that this fight is not gonna end there. And we might not know for decades how big sugar might push back against this. What we do know is that big sugar has an absolute grip on our international organizations, on every level of government, which has allowed them to put sugar in everything from ketchup to kids' breakfast cereals, contributing to obesity and diabetes and heart disease being the largest causes of death for people around the world. And here at a show about the news, we can't change international organizations and we don't have an extra $50,000 lying around to pay some researchers, but we do have cameras. So we went ahead and made an ad for these sugar companies to help them be a little bit more honest with their customers, and then we actually sent it to their CEOs. And here it is.
Yay! Soccer! We love soccer! Guys, I really hope we win the big game tomorrow.
Yeah!
Yay!
Hey kids, I'm Terry the generic tiger unaffiliated with any brand for legal purposes.
Yeah!
Here, try my healthy food to help you win your big game.
Wow, Terry the generic tiger, unaffiliated with any brands for legal purposes. This is really good. You're telling me this is also healthy?
Sure. And I'm also here to tell you, I hate you. Just me, personally. I'm not speaking on behalf of any larger industry or corporation.
But this is healthy, right?
That was the equivalent of eating 8 spoons of sugar. Eat that every day and you'll be too fat to win any soccer game. You're gonna be a bunch of little fat kids.
I thought you cared about us.
Care about you? I toppled an island nation to help create $1 billion sugar industrial complex. Your body is a vessel for me to fill up with sugar to make profit. Can you kids spell profit?
P-R-O-F-I-T.
That's right. I'm rich.
I'm just here to say 3 things. I love sugar. Don't subscribe to this channel, and don't subscribe to a show about the news. It's a different channel. This is a video from that channel. Don't subscribe to it. It sucks. Their videos suck. I love sugar.